Here.
Emmanuel Alamonte,
Here.
Marie Meisner,
Here.
Maddie McIntyre,
Here.
Megan Dalo,
Here.
Najee Rodriguez,
Here.
Noah Robertson,
Here.
Patricia Barangi,
Here.
Rainier Foley Di Fiore,
Here.
Refugio Lara,
Here.
Ryan Lascalzo,
Here.
Samantha Brown,
Here.
Sarah Jordan,
Here.
Siddhi Deshpande,
Here.
Sophia Polio,
Here.
Stephen Zhang,
Here.
Sydney Gibbard,
Here.
Tim Tierney,
Here.
Tom Dougherty,
Here.
Shirao Shah,
Here.
Eugene Young, Yuna Choi, is there anyone's name I missed?
All right. Seeing that attendance is done, we'll move down the agenda with adoption of the agenda. Are there any motions at all?
I'd like to make a motion to strike confirmation of Executive Director Rachel Troymansky on the basis that she is taking a midterm.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any discussion on that? Aaron, Representative Bose, I know you have a motion, not. All right, seeing no hands or discussion on that, I'm taking general consensus and we'll move on. That's strike from the agenda. Representative Bose.
Hi, sorry, my computer's not loading that quickly. Motion to add resolution, creation of a soft edge campaign in support of HR 7120, George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2020.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any discussion on that? All right, seeing none, I'm taking general consensus and that will be added to line item E on the agenda. Are there any other motions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to adoption of the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, we will now move on to special presentation from the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity with Brian. Welcome, Brian. I'm so excited to have you here and also give us any insight to us and anything that we can do in our capacity. You'll have 5 minutes to speak and then 10 minutes for questions. You may start whenever you'd like.
Sounds good. I am just going to share my screen. So you are seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Saw some nods. So again, wonderful to be joining you all tonight. I'm going to give a quick whirlwind overview of the center for those of you that may not be as familiar with our work. But again, my name is Brian Pichkowski, pronouns he, him, his, direct the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, and also have the privilege and honor of being co-chair on the President's Commission on LGBTQ equity or LGBTQ equity. And so again, wonderful to be here. To frame our conversation a bit, just to talk a little bit about the context of Pennsylvania and where Penn State finds itself in terms of LGBTQ equity. Pennsylvania has no protections for our communities. I think that's important to note when we think about the students we serve, how we serve our students. There have been attempts in the past, those attempts have failed. We know that voting is immensely critical in this moment, but also immensely critical in terms of some of the ballot measures that are in Pennsylvania this year. And so just wanted to start with that and expose some of the inequity that we still exist or that exists across the Commonwealth. In Pennsylvania, if some of you are familiar with crisis text line, we use that here at Penn State. But if you actually narrow in on Pennsylvania's statistics around LGBTQ communities, the highest incidence or prevalence of issues within the community include depression, family issues, stress, and suicidal thoughts. Those reflect the work that we do in the center on a daily basis, but wanted to call out some larger national statistics of where some of our student communities might be. Talking a little bit about our work, we are a center, we have colleague centers in terms of advocacy and equity on campus. Our core mission rests in education to both our communities and those that support our communities across the Commonwealth. We provide advocacy and outreach in terms of support, financial, individual consultation, in a variety of different ways. Thinking about some of the programs we do, and you may be familiar with these again, as you see my background right here, I am not wearing a costume, but I have a digital background. So LGBTQ History Month is currently in progress, and if you Google the Penn State News article, you'll see events across the Commonwealth with our peers and advocacy colleagues. Some of our ongoing signature programs, and so I'm not going to go into all of these, but we can talk more. Feel free to connect after today. But really, we believe in creating a pipeline of engagement. And so whether a person is out and proud and engaged once they arrive at Penn State, or just trying to figure things out or not able to be out while they're with us at Penn State, there should be a way to engage with our work. And so whether that's through educational endeavors, through our Safer People, Safer Places networks, our peer education programs, safer sex programs, our support programs, including mentorship, discussion groups, scholarships. We do a lot of work around 8084, which is currently being revised and almost completed in terms of implementation, and that is preferred or chosen name and gender identity policies. So I'm that appointed person for all of our campuses to make those updates. And again, a variety of ways to get involved as folks come into our communities. Some of our signature programs, if you aren't familiar again, every year we start with a welcome reception. LGBTQ History Month is based in October, Trans Awareness November. April is Pride, because we don't celebrate in June when National Pride is, or Global Pride, but when our students are truly with us. And so our Lavender Graduation is our end of year affinity group celebration, recognizing our graduating undergraduate, graduate, professional students across the Commonwealth. These are just a quick glimpse at what our student organizations and how we support them and who they are. We work closely with all of them in some way, advise some, don't advise all, but support and try to enhance their work across our campuses. I really thought it was important to, in terms of the work that we're talking about tonight, to base some of the conversation around COVID-19 and its effect on our sexual and gender diverse communities. And so while these statistics are not necessarily Penn State specific, they are relevant to the communities and the reflective of what we are seeing in our communities. So we know in terms of COVID-19 and sexual and gender diverse communities, we know that our community is facing basic needs, issues around basic needs in terms of academic and financial related challenges, substance abuse, psychological distress, social isolation. We've all been part of these moments right now, and our queer communities are absolutely embedded in these areas. A rejection by family members, many are doing remote work and not able to actually be supported in their home environment. And so navigating some pretty difficult situations. And then our LGBTQ students of color bear the added burden of racial oppression. So we know, again, we've got much work around anti-racism and racial justice work to do, and the multiple dimensions that our students are encompassing and navigating right now are pretty extreme. When we look at pandemic-related stress within the queer community, 62% have said their living arrangements have changed, 82% have moved back home. We have been doing a lot of work with our communities where home isn't so good, or they've been rejected and have needed to find another place to remain. We've also been doing a lot of work around political asylum for students that are here from other countries or studying here from other countries, and word has traveled home around their identity. And so safety and security and trying to navigate those processes have been important. We know that 43% have lost a job or had offers rescinded because businesses have narrowed their employment sectors. And then, of course, increased coursework that I'm sure you all can relate to. Grades are suffering and dropping a class because of the multiple dimensions of what they're navigating. Psychological distress, again, moderate to severe, we're seeing in some of the data. Increased access to medical and mental health care, often feeling isolated. I think that's another shared aspect of COVID, and then coping behaviors. We also know that, again, being in family structures or closer to family, hearing more negative comments. We know the political climate right now is also a challenge. 44% have hid their identity or have almost gone back into non-disclosing their identity or not disclosing that identity. And we know that 32% of trans and non-binary students have reported disrespect of their gender identities more often. And then, really, again, just before I wrap up this portion of the presentation, the racial oppression amongst our queer communities is absolutely present. 37% experienced an increase in white LGBTQ individuals saying things that were racist. Just because a marginalized community is marginalized doesn't mean they're perfect. And so we know that the multiple dimensions and conversations within community are also a challenge. Increase in mistrust of white identified folks, felt misunderstood by our white LGBTQ communities, and 43% were spending more time educating white identified folks about race. And so just summing up some of the data results, again, thinking about family structures and our trans and non-binary folks, these are some of the reflections from what we just referenced. So some concluding thoughts about our work on campus. We are continuously trying to enhance employment opportunities. If we are having our students do this work, we believe they should be supplemented for that work. And so with the gracious support of the student fee, we have been able to do that. Our students have continued work since last March when we went to remote, and they've continued to do work for wherever they're located. And so again, that financial support has been critical. We have a brand new center. If you have not checked it out, we are open. We've been open since August, or reopened since August. And so we are at lower level 011 Hub Robeson Center. Please do visit us. We have also been doing much more intentional work around graduate student support. We are also working to strengthen some of our signature offerings. One of the things I failed to note or reference earlier is an enhancement around anti-racism programming that we launched this year. So with COVID and the changes and navigation of what we've had with funding, we've been able to add some extra additional support around anti-racism ideology and funding structures so that our work can be enhanced and that the anti-racism work is embedded within all of our programs. And so we are constantly working on that. And if you, would like to be engaged with that work, please do reach out. Again, some accolades of what we do. We were just recognized as one of the top 40 institutions around LGBTQ equity. Doesn't mean we're perfect. And again, policy practice is one thing, but the student experience is another. And so, while I like to reference some of this and showcase some of our work that our students have done and our faculty and staff have worked diligently to do, there's still more work to do. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome any questions that you might all have from today's comments.
Are there any questions for Brian? Representative Reynolds?
Hello, Brian. So I'm just wondering, in light of COVID and all of the isolation and the resulting mental health issues that have come out of that, I know I'm fading in and out. What plans do you have in place? What strategies have you been employing to help make sure that student mental health is still staying strong, even though many people are not able to connect with the others that they usually get to hang out with and meet and fraternize with on campus?
That's a great question. And I think it actually spans across our marginalized communities. I think so. One of the things that we've done, we've worked collaboratively with CAPS. They just hired a sexuality and gender identity specialist. And so that's been one aspect, and by no means is a solution to a climate issue. But I will say, we have developed I sit on the governor's LGBT Affairs Commission. And so we have worked to develop resources and networks across the Commonwealth. We actually, we're currently revising our remote resources. So as we navigate towards the November 20th deadline, we're going to continue to share as our students, again, navigate to wherever home might be, so that they have supportive networks. And so whether that's other LGBTQ specific centers, colleagues across the US, we've really tried to enhance that structure so that, whether you can get Penn State resources or there's other resources that might, fill the gap in between, we've been continuing to redeploy those as much as possible.
Thank you. You can't really see me nodding because my head keeps disappearing, but I'm nodding in agreement. Thank you.
I don't have hands on mine because the virtual background makes them disappear. So,
Chair Rodriguez.
Hi, Brian. Happy Wednesday, and thanks so much for coming in today. We really appreciate you for taking the time to kind of give this presentation. So my question to you is, how can the UPUA better strengthen advocacy that would ultimately amplify the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity's mission?
Yeah, Najee, I think there's so many aspects, and actually I have the privilege of sitting with you on CLGBTQE. And so, recently we received the results of the community survey. Those results are not new to us. We know that our gender diverse, non-binary, genderqueer, trans folks absolutely experience Penn State differently, as do our LGBT folks. And so whether that's in terms of our systems and what displays do we actually ask around demographic information, having student input and student influence, again, I think, your voices are tremendously important and powerful. And I think that's needed more than ever. We for the first time really have data on some of our communities, and I mean communities intentionally, because there's multiple within. And so there's much in terms of metrics, there's much in terms of progress that I think we can continue to move forward. And I think really harnessing some of the community survey results as here's our data, now we need to commit to action. While we're recognized as, a best of practice and policy, there's still, tremendous work at the intersections. And so what does it truly mean to belong at Penn State, and how do you navigate those multiple dimensions as you kind of carry forward in your student experience? Did that answer some of that question?
100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative Flegel.
Hi, Brian. Kara Flegel at Berkeley College of Science. Thanks for being here tonight. My question is, what resources are available to members of the communities who are at home right now and their home environment is not safe or like respective of the fact that they're in the community?
Absolutely. So our resources here are absolutely resources where they're located. So one of the beautiful things, and I shared this with Student Fee some time ago, is that, our resources when we went remote have actually increased engagement. And I think, it's increased engagement, but also we need to buffer the Zoom exhaustion and the digital exhaustion. And so I think we are committed to, whenever COVID is ending, I think the remote world and the ability to access in different ways will continue to be part of our work. And I think that's it's an inclusive design thing. So we continue to offer online discussion groups, and we've been able to open those groups across the Commonwealth where previously our brick and mortar experiences weren't there. We just, hosted 2 of our LGBTQ History Month speakers, one a co-sponsorship and one our keynote. We have had attendance since our Pride Month keynote way above anything we've ever had in physical form. And so thinking about our students that are even across the globe and are in their home environments, they have been able to sign in, ask questions, engage, but also see aspects of the center that they are familiar with at University Park. And so, again, our discussion groups, we're doing online mentoring. We are continuing to navigate and also connect, like I said earlier, or referenced earlier, some of our colleague centers, and I mean, actual community center LGBT spaces. And so again, we're going to continue building those networks. I think it's important. And I think it's going to challenge us as, student affairs or student direct practitioners to think about how is the best way to move forward after COVID. Because again, I think this has given us a different idea around equity. And so, again, some of those things, there's lots more that I'm absolutely forgetting right now, but some of those are just some of the highlights in terms of providing those resources.
Representative Quinnen.
Hi, sorry about the sirens in the background, but I was just wondering what your reaction was to the recent executive order that sort of was ambiguously aiming towards limiting speech about diversity, and what sort of steps you're going to take to include diverse speech in the upcoming months if that is to go into action after November 21st.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't like it. I'll be very honest, as a practitioner and an advocate of this work. I think all of our work, embodies those ideals. So whether it's anti-racism, sexism, any of the things listed in the executive order, our trainings, our educational experiences, they're tailored and they're built on those notions of oppression, power, and privilege. And so one thing I really do believe in, even the conversations that I've been part of so far in terms of planning forward, is that Penn State's going to continue. colleagues at other centers across the Big Ten are not as fortunate to have some of that backing already. And I'm sure you already noticed, University of Iowa and some others, and other colleges and universities that have pulled back very quickly. So that does give me hope. I think, one of the things about marginalized communities and experiences is we've navigated this. And talking to our staff and our student and professional staff, is that we will navigate this too. So if we need to code switch and we need to figure out ways to deliver this content and broaden our way of engagement, the need for support is never going to go away. As much as we think that we're going to get to a certain place and things will ever be perfect, I think support and community are going to be needed and necessary. But I do think we will continue educating. It might not look the exact same way, but I am hopeful. I'm hopeful, again, being at Penn State and some of the resources and conversations that colleagues and students have been moving forward. And I encourage those conversations to continue. We need that. I think if we are going to, really truly be dedicated to this, we need to keep questioning and figure out what might be possible and where the, the loop or the workaround might exist. That's the strategy. That's what marginalized communities have done for decades. And I think we need to continue doing that.
Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions for Brian? We have about 2 minutes left. All right, seeing none. Brian, thank you for coming in. And I think this is the third time I've seen you today, and it's always a pleasure. If you'd like to stick along, please do, but our meetings do run long. If you have to head out, also more than welcome, but thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for the invitation, everyone. I'll hang out for a few minutes, but again, I have 4-year-old twins that are, it's almost their bedtime. So I try not to miss that when I can. So again, great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. All right, we'll keep moving down the agenda with alternative grading report, which is another special presentation given by Chair Burunji, Representative Gibbard, Bose, and Foley Di Fiore. Give me a second so I can give co-host privileges. All right. You should be able to share your screen, Representative Gibbard. Again, same protocol. You have 5 minutes to speak and then 10 minutes for questions. Start whenever you'd like.
We'll try to make that time. But good evening, UPUA. Thank you for allowing us to present this to you tonight. We really wanted to take this opportunity not only to provide you with an update on the status of the Alternative Grading Initiative, but to also inform the Assembly and the student body on the purpose, structure, and function of the Faculty Senate and how the UPUA works with them.
So just to start off, what a basic definition is of Faculty Senate. I know that most of the reps are very familiar with it, but if you're a new rep, you might not be as familiar with what Faculty Senate does and what that power they have within the university is. But basically what they do is, I like to think of them as a student government of faculty members. They do have a few student senator representing students in the Faculty Senate, but basically what they aim to do is represent Penn State's faculty, and they also act as an advisor and consultative body to the president on all matters relating to education within the university, and also matters relating to faculty tenure and other matters pertinent to faculty.
Like the UPUA, the Faculty Senate is composed of several committees, which kind of address several aspects of the university. And so every UPUA elected academic representative is also appointed to be a faculty senator for their academic college. I have a system where I let them kind of choose their committees if they're able to, but also we have 2 other seats reserved for the UPUA faculty senator, which this year is Erin Bose, as well as the UPUA president. I personally sit on the educational committee along with Sydney and the UPUA faculty senator, and we mainly work to kind of pass policy changes relating to the educational experience.
So just to explain what a typical day in Faculty Senate looks like, yesterday was one of our Faculty Senate meetings. They happen once a month on Tuesdays, usually about 3 per semester. In the morning, each of the student senators attend a committee meeting. These committee meetings typically run an hour to an hour and a half long, and that agenda is set beforehand by the chair of that committee. They are very similar to UPUA committee meetings, which I know we've all attended, but they're a little bit more structured and a little bit more formal than UPUA UPUA meetings. Mid-morning this year, it's at noon. We have student caucus. This is when the student senators come together and they discuss anything that happened in their committee meetings that either was concerning, exciting, or relevant to students. They also give reports and also discuss any important legislation that may be coming to the floor in the plenary meeting. And this meeting is really guided by the immediate past chair, who this year is Nicholas Rowland. He guides us and kind of thinks about how our issues can fit into the larger university and within Faculty Senate. In the afternoon, we have the full plenary meeting. This meeting begins at 1 and typically is about 4 to 5 hours. All the senators come together for this meeting. There's 247 senators in the Faculty Senate, and it's very similar to General Assembly, definitely a little bit more formal. But there's presentations, legislation, and people can make motions.
Yeah, so there are a couple of different ways with which we can bring issues up to the Faculty Senate. So they don't really have any form of 2/3 process where they can kind of bring legislation on that day, especially just to mention because the Faculty Senate meets much less frequently than we do, typically only about 3, maybe 4 times a semester at set dates. So usually how it begins is an issue comes to the attention of the Greater Assembly or Academic Affairs. We typically work on benchmarking and research and kind of begin compiling a report or even writing legislation. A lot of the times we try to bring up we try to raise issues with the Faculty Senate informally before committee meetings so that they're aware that these conversations are being had. And then once we have kind of written and passed legislation through Academic Affairs and UPUA, then we're able to bring those reports and request that they be added to committee agenda. And I also want to note that a lot of the times when students bring things, multiple committees within the Faculty Senate will be addressing those issues and having those discussions at a time. So it's never really as black and white as it has to go through this committee, but they typically have a greater discussion about the legislation that we bring. So once we bring something to a respective committee, it's heavily discussed. A lot of the times they provide us with feedback on how to make our advocacy better, if not direct edits, and then we kind of discuss how we would move further. It's not always as black and white as it continues to the full Senate. Sometimes we continue through the Senate. A lot of the times we work with AQ, which is the administrative body that implements policy. So sometimes they take over and they implement something, or we make direct recommendations to the administration to address a problem. But if we do follow through with going to the full Senate, we can either motion that our report or legislation is added to the agenda to be discussed and voted on in the full Senate. But again, because they only meet once a month or 3 times a semester, you can motion for something to be added and you may not talk about it for a month or 2. But a lot of the times the full discussion is had in Senate and there's a vote and then it goes on to be implemented, or representatives then go spend time writing legislation if legislation wasn't already wrote, and then it was passed, and then it would be passed through a committee with the support of the Faculty Senate Committee, and then voted on again in the full Senate. And then once everything is passed through the Faculty Senate, it goes through AQ or is implemented by the administration.
So one of the really hot topic initiatives that we've been working on is alternative grading, as you guys know from the survey. Just a very brief overview of what alternative grading is. It was implemented last spring in light of COVID-19 pandemic. And the way that it kind of works is the Senate introduced it, passed it, and then it went through AQ and came out as AQ policy G11, which they adopted and implemented. The key factor, though, is that this policy 4970 the Senate has to address the situation as a situation of special Senate concern. And that's kind of how it starts to become addressed, that you can implement the alternative grading system. So the policy's already been created. It's just for this semester a matter of fact of actually implementing it. And again, as you guys know, we launched that university-wide survey. It opened October 15th at 9:40 p.m. and it closed. We took the data out at October 19th, 2020 at 9:06 a.m. In that time period, we were able to reach 5,270 student responses, which really blew us away. And in that time, it's reached, I think as of the last hour, it's been up to 7.1 thousand. So we just keep getting results. The data though is from when we extracted it at 5,270 students. So kind of from that demographic, we were able to capture 5.46% of students across the entire university. So that includes Commonwealth and World Campus. But a closer look, we were able to capture 11.01% of University Park students, 0.7% of Commonwealth, and 0.1% of World Campus. And then we kind of got a little bit of an even distribution among class standings, although it was a little bit expected to get some less fifth year and first year students.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. So we've given you a bit of the context around what alternative grading is and how it was implemented in the past. But now I'd like to zoom in and highlight some of the testimonials that brought to our attention and highlight some of the concerns of our fellow students at Penn State. Students have expressed concerns that, while not all being captured here, include being caught in different countries, different time zones, and having courses that have not really made quite a smooth transition into the virtual learning format. Could you move to the next slide, Sydney? And these testimonials continue to build on those concerns, highlighting issues with personal challenges associated with virtual learning and external factors that have made it very difficult to devote the sufficient time and energy needed to be successful in a standard class setting. Finally, I want to draw your attention to the last quote that really resonates with me as someone who takes pride in being representative of the student body. It's very important to understand the needs and respect the needs and desires of all of the students at Penn State. And this is something that I feel confident advocating for, even if I may not personally need it myself.
And I think that the greatest thing, I mean, if the survey had just collected those student testimonials, we would have counted it as a win and a great survey. And I think though, we were able to capture, I think it was 200 student testimonials. And it captured almost every single area of a student's life, from like finances to mental health, family responsibility, university responsibility. But something that's even more important to us is the actual data. So I'll be sharing a little bit of the concrete data. So we wanted to establish how many students used alternative grading last semester. We were able to find that of the survey respondents, 43.89% did use it in the spring 2020 semester. 34.16% did not use it. One of the most important pieces of information that we were able to gather, though, is the mean amount of courses that students used of the survey respondents is only 1.9. So there's a lot of rhetoric going around that a lot of students are going to use alternative grading in order to kind of get rid of all of their grades in all 5+ courses. But really, students are only using it for 1 or 2 courses. And then looking into how many students would use it this year, 68.75% said that they would use it this year for at least 1 course. 27.62% said they might, and only 3.6% said that they wouldn't. And even there, you can see in that chart that across the board, though, there was a resounding increase of an ease of mind and mental health as well from even if you were going to use it or if you weren't going to use it. One of the biggest kind of counter arguments that we've gotten is that using alternative grading can be a detriment to attending graduate or professional school. So we wanted to establish how many people were looking to attend graduate and professional school. And you can see that it's kind of also even there where less people are going to use it or attend to use it if they do plan to attend graduate or professional school, but there's still people that are going to use it. And even the benchmarking that we've done, we've looked at the most popular graduate and professional schools that Penn Staters usually go to. And those schools either are implementing the alternative grading system themselves or clearly notate on their websites that they're allowing students who they're admitting to use the alternative grading system. And then here you can see that effect that it will have on students. Again, the ease of mind and increased mental health is absolutely the most significant one. And I think that should be really highlighted from the faculty as well.
Yeah, so as we've known that this has been a hot topic even before this semester started, and there's been a lot of anxiety around this. So at the very first Faculty Senate Education Committee meeting on September 15th, Erin, Sydney, and I did bring it up informally, and there was kind of a general consensus at the committee. There wasn't really any clear support, but there was a general consensus that, we knew that the policy still existed, but there wasn't any kind of answer of whether there were leaning towards implementing it again. And they also told us that just because of the logistical issues of not having enough turnaround between the fall and the spring, we wouldn't be able to implement this again. So that was back in September.
And then just most recently, on October 15th, representatives met to create an action plan, and we benchmarked specifically other Big Ten schools that can be extremely powerful within Faculty Senate is showing data and examples from other Big Ten schools about how they are implementing this and what arguments are being had and conversations are being had within the Big Ten schools. We also began developing an actual advocacy plan to use in Faculty Senate this past Tuesday.
Yes, so as you guys know, the data was released and we evaluated kind of not only the data about whether students used it in the spring, but also kind of gauged whether they would be likely to use it this semester. And of course, gathering the testimonials was very important.
Yeah, and then just this past Sunday, Academic Affairs met once again to really show some of the results from the survey, pull apart some of the testimonials, and see if any reps had any thoughts about how to attack this issue within Faculty Senate this upcoming Tuesday.
From then, it was a really big snowball effect from Monday and on. We were able to extract the data and release the report and the benchmarking that we had done. We basically disseminated it to everybody that we could possibly think of. We sent it to the Board of Trustees, forwarded over to the Faculty Senate committee and various chairs. We forwarded over to the administration as well as a full UPUA. And then also the Faculty Senate Chair on Student Life was able to bring this report to the officers and chairs meeting, which basically is a meeting of all the chairs and officers in Faculty Senate. So basically we knew by Tuesday, every chair had an idea of this report, whether they were going to address it in their committee or not, they were informed.
And yesterday morning during the committee meetings, ERISA, Educational Equity, and Student Life, which are 3 different committees within Faculty Senate, all discussed this report in alternative grading at length. The Education Committee, which Patty, Aaron, and I sit on, did not discuss it. And but in other committees, we heard about conversation about an academic integrity clause that was included in the policy last semester, which faculty was really not in favor of re-implementing that, where basically students could opt for an alternative grade, even if they had an academic integrity violation, and it would basically remove that from their academic record.
Yeah, so by student caucus, we're all kind of just super confused and down because we thought that it was a straight no, because even though 3 very significant committees had addressed it and discussed it, the way it kind of works is because this is an education-oriented initiative, while they were saying either they supported it or they don't, they discussed it or they didn't, basically they all had to kind of like deflect over to education. Education had to have had a conversation and decided on a mode of action for us to kind of take it further. So these 3 committees talking about it wasn't enough. So in our student caucus meeting, we were advised by the immediate past Senate Chair, Nicholas Rowland, and we discussed in length like different ways to move forward with this. He advised us on a few solutions that we could use to continue advocating for this so that we didn't just hit a wall and have to drop it. And we began to write a resolution like in that minute and finished it at the end of that meeting, which is only an hour long, to bring and disseminate to the entirety of the Faculty Senate.
So at the plenary meeting, which actually starts right at the end of student caucus, a representative motioned to add the resolution to new business. Faculty Senate operates a little bit differently than UPUA does in the sense that when you motion to add something to new business, it isn't actually discussed until the next meeting of the Faculty Senate. You can't discuss it in that present meeting. And so what we did is that we motioned to suspend the rules so that we could actually discuss the resolution now because it was extremely pertinent and our next meeting was not until December 1st. We needed a 3/4 vote in order to suspend the rules and that failed by about 20 votes-ish. And we did have majority people voting in favor of discussing it, but we didn't hit that 3/4. And so we were a little bit disappointed because as of then we thought, oh, the resolution wouldn't be able to be discussed until the next meeting. And so that's when we began reaching out to other members within the Faculty Senate to see about the possible other different avenues we can go through to have this conversation.
Yeah, the response from the faculty was pretty great. They, on their own, began to discuss our motions and kind of this entire situation at length, and we were able to kind of schedule a meeting with the current Faculty Senate Chair to discuss holding a special Senate meeting, which the Senate, as you have heard from me, has been utilizing a lot this semester in order to discuss issues that weren't like able to make it through the agenda, obviously, because things are so like unpredictable at the moment.
And so in pushing this resolution to implement alternative grading, some faculty and advisors have brought some very specific concerns and feedback to us about the potential system. We've been taking careful time and concern addressing these both individually with specific faculty and kind of setting up or reaching out to meet over calls or over Zoom to kind of talk about it further. And we've also been taking care to implement these solutions and addressing these concerns in the strategic plan that we're going to ultimately develop when we meet with the full Senate. By carefully addressing these concerns and planning for, with consideration for students, faculty, and staff, we'll hopefully be able to develop and pass a very comprehensive and holistic strategic plan for implementing alternative grading for this semester.
So yeah, we're getting to the end, I swear, but basically our meeting today with the current chair of Faculty Senate, Beth Seymour, was extremely successful. She brought with her the immediate past chair, Nicholas Rowland, the University Advisory Council chair, David Smith, and the Faculty Senate chair on education. And we basically just discussed a game plan for how not only were we able to set a Faculty Senate date for next week on Thursday, October 29th, which is obviously great turnaround, we were also able to kind of brainstorm different ways to address the concerns that the Faculty Senate may have, as well as how to present this in a way that we can be successful as possible and get this passed for students. So this will be held next week. It's really great leeway because not only are they going to allow us to present our report as we've done to you guys today, but we'll also be officially voting on a resolution on whether to implement alternative grading. I can't guarantee anything or give a black and white answer, but we've been getting a lot of response, and even just the meeting yesterday really revealed to me that there's a lot more open-mindedness in terms of on the end of the faculty, not only to implement Faculty Senate, not only to implement alternative grading, but there's a lot more support than we originally had, not just back in the spring, but also back from September. So I think, I'm wishing for the best, and I really think that we have a good chance here. And if you have the ability to, even though you won't necessarily be able to like speak or engage that much, we'd really appreciate if you guys kind of pulled through and saw how this unfolded. So hopefully it goes over well. But with that, are there any questions?
Are there any questions for the group? At all? Representative Robertson?
Hi, I just wanted to start by saying, like, really truly fantastic work, everyone. Like, I'm blown away. I think it's fantastic. I was wondering if you worked with CCSG or GPSA in any capacity to also advocate for this.
Yeah, I had sent out the survey to CCSG, GPSA, and World Campus Student Government. And we worked kind of behind the scenes also on interpreting a lot of the information as well. So we definitely wanted to make sure that since this will impact them, that they had an equal role in seeing the results and in distributing the survey.
Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you all for giving that presentation. I think it was very insightful and very much needed. So I do appreciate your work always, so thank you. With that, we'll keep moving down the agenda with Open Student Forum. If you are here for Open Student Forum, please raise your hand. Even if you are an attendee, I can see your hand raised, but I'll give it a little bit if there is anybody. All right, seeing no one here for Open Student Forum, we will move down to a report by the President, President McKay, or Neil Armstrong.
I don't know if I'm Neil Armstrong. I've been trying to get back on the bike, but the weather has been kind of off and on lately. When we've been finding the time, we've been making it out. If anybody would like to go biking with me, let me know. We can wear our masks and also be COVID conscious cyclists. That's it. Triple C. So, right, Sydney, right. Okay, I first want to thank Brian for coming in today to talk a little bit about what the Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity has been up to, especially in times of COVID and building an inclusive campus. I'd also like to thank, as was mentioned in the chat, Representative Barungi, Gibbard, Bose, and Foley De Fiore for their incredibly insightful presentation. I would echo the sentiments that one representative had left, talking about how this is better than a lot of presentations I see in class and the Faculty Senate and the Board of Trustees. Great work. The survey was really beneficial when talking about Faculty Senate, or talking, I should say, with those in Faculty Senate, but I'll get to that in a second. Because Representative Doherty had made it known well in advance that tonight is, I suppose, our UPUA costume night, it's fitting so that we can have a serious conversation next week. I would like to just ask if everyone's cool turning on their cameras and showing their costumes so that we can all get a photo. And then, like, if you're like me and you don't want to sit inside your own bedroom with a mask and the helmet on, then you can just take it off. So please go ahead and turn on your cameras if you have a costume. I'd love to see what you're up to. And I believe what we'll try and do is share it on the UPUA's Instagram and social media. I'll also, like, if anyone wants to talk about their costume very briefly, you can say what you are. I'd love to hear.
If anyone can find a costume during the 5-minute caucus breakout, also, there's going to be a $10 Starbucks gift card as the reward for best costume. So just saying.
I don't know who's on the decision committee for that, but that sounds exciting. So I hope you all at least check out the video filters on Zoom. Lexi, Steven, have you guys gotten a photo?
Wait, everybody smile. I feel like that will just be the cherry on top. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Love to see it.
Cool beans. Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't win the costume contest or the bike race. I guess this guy behind me did. He gets the little medallion. So kudos to all of you for wearing yours. Let's jump into it. Faculty Senate was this past Tuesday. We discussed quite a lot in the Student Life Committee. That committee, let's see. Okay, so that committee was luckily kind enough to talk about the survey which we put out, which received somewhere of, I think it was 5,300 survey results. That's a lot of students and a lot of good data to then bring forward. I was very disappointed to see that it wasn't discussed in the Education Committee, where I guess these conversations would originate. And I definitely share those representatives on that committee's disappointment. But I'm also very happy to hear that there's a special meeting coming up next week, and would encourage that anyone who'd like to offer their support, as many students have already reached out to me asking for this to be implemented and to be pushed for, please reach out to those representatives who will be there on Thursday to help push this, because I think it is something that students truly want to see and would help build a more equitable education. Last Thursday, I attended the PRCC's Pride in Our Communities pep rally, which to my understanding is now integrated into Homecoming Week, which is exciting to hear, and building, again, a more celebratory community within our homecoming and Penn State traditions. There were great performances all around. I would highly encourage that if you haven't already, get out to some of our student organizations that are putting on get-togethers and performances and the like in a safe manner, because these are by far some of our most talented students on campus. And there are plenty of student organizations that have events set up, whether in person or digital, for you. They also help contribute to, especially for representatives, your required external events, as Speaker Zhang will, I'm sure, talk about later on. And you can find out how to submit that in Teams or by talking with Speaker Zhang. I'd also like to briefly congratulate the winners of the Guide State Forward Awards, one of who is our very own Chair of Student Life, Representative Adeline Mishler, as well as our former Chair of Academic Affairs, Diego Santos. Major congratulations to the both of you. Let's see, this past Monday, CCSG President Hiba Akbar and I met with Dr. Kelly Walgast following our conversation with Dr. Birx from the White House Coronavirus Task Force to talk about returning to home and what our plans for student testing would look like. The university announced these plans, I believe it was yesterday, but I wrote earlier this week because I'm not sure. And I had expressed in that meeting just a general, not concern, but an emphasis on the fact that if we're not looking at mandated testing, it makes sense. You really can't tell people not to go home. It's a lot easier to tell people you can't move into a dorm until you test, but a lot harder to say you can't go home to your family until you test. We should be finding a way to incentivize students to get out and test. The data is telling us that some 80% of students with COVID-19 right now on college campuses nationally are asymptomatic. And so I guess what the general fear that I had shared was that if the only rhetoric that we're pushing is keeping our communities and our friends and our families safe, I do think that generally our student body responds well to that. And we recognize the sacrifices that we have to make to keep the community safe. But those students who might feel like they are practicing the guidelines and might feel like they're washing their hands and feel like they're okay, but really might be infected, might not feel the need to go and get tested. And so I think there's room for an incentive there. I was also asked to ask all of you if there are incentives that you can think of which might help increase our testing numbers before leaving for returning to home, which I would love to hear some ideas at the very end of this report, which is hopefully not very much longer. Student Leader Roundtable met today, and we went over plans for returning to home, again, with Dr. Kelly Walgast, as well as the upcoming wellness days this spring. Again, we emphasized this need to be sure that professors aren't simply assigning extra work on these days, especially since they're in the middle of the week. It'll be a lot easier for professors, if I were a professor, to assign something on a Tuesday and have it due on Thursday, thinking that, oh, well, the student will have all day to practice it. I wouldn't call that a wellness day or an off day. And so I do think that our Committee on Academic Affairs will play a large role in ensuring that students have opportunities to report Faculty Senate violations and policy violations, which I would hope that that is something the Faculty Senate is looking to curb in the spring semester. A brief little update on records and transparency. If I can share my screen. Many of you know that one of the largest things that we'd run on, can everyone see that? The UPUA website? Not, okay, cool. One of the things that we'd run on was transparency, and it had come up in conversations sometime, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, the need to establish secure, or I guess accessible voting records, as well as other documents. So now if you go to the UPUA's website, and I hope the press is paying attention because this can benefit all students, and go to General Assembly documents, you can find not only the Zoom link to our meetings on Wednesdays, which if need be can be updated, but you can also find all of our meeting agendas if that meeting had been amended, the meeting minutes from that past meeting, and even the meeting recording from that past meeting. We're working currently with Records, Speaker Zhang, and the Secretary of the UPUA General Assembly on a legislation tracker, which also highlights exactly where legislation is when it's been passed, so that we hear no more of students not necessarily hearing that legislation is coming to the floor and that's the first time we're seeing it, but rather the moment it's introduced, the speaker and the secretary can upload it to here, and then we can go on and add later on what the committee vote was, assembly vote, what happened to it, and then the final copy. You can see a test there. You can also find our previous page with just a bunch of old legislation going all the way back to the second assembly. Some really interesting stuff here. I'm not sure we follow all of our policies or resolutions that we once passed, but it's worth looking at and kind of getting a handle on some of our history. And then you can also find things like attendance for representatives at General Assembly, as well as the voting records of representatives at General Assembly. Some of these are still a work in progress, like I mentioned, the legislation tracker, but I'm excited to see how this continues to develop, especially as we start to add more assemblies from the past 14th, 13th, 12th. If only I could count. which should add a little bit more transparency to our organization and allow students to participate a little more fully. Today I met, Lexi and I, the Vice President, and I met with the Vice President for Student Affairs to talk just a little bit about what's kind of been going on in the UPUA, as well as some other updates. I wanted to really follow up on our ask about the sexual misconduct survey, which we, as I mentioned last week, was pushed back from 2018 and is now at least starting to get off the ground. I think, to be honest with you, Student Affairs leadership has just been kind of swamped lately, so they are working to get that group together, but I let him know that I'd be more than happy to pass along some student names from the UPUA who I think would be valuable additions to that kind of a committee, as well as working with those in Title IX who've worked on the survey in the past, as well as others from perhaps student conduct to help build the survey and get it out to students as soon as possible to help get some tangible data. And then also a follow-up from legislation was talked about. It's come to our attention, and I'm sure it's come to yours, that we ask for quite a lot from the university, but it's often that we don't, it's not very clear how the university responds sometimes. The thing that I was thinking about was how the university, or how the UPUA supported the African American Studies Department demands, but we haven't necessarily heard an official response from the university as to what their next steps are. And so we had talked about possibly setting up a guaranteed conversation following meetings at the UPUA and taking those resolutions and whatnot to the various vice presidents around the university, as well as asking for some kind of a formalized response that we can then go over at the next General Assembly meeting as a team to figure out what some of our next best steps are. But I'm excited to see that they're open to helping at least add a little bit more pressure on the university themselves, so that our work is truly brought about and we know exactly how things are being responded to at the university leadership level. And then lastly, I just want to update everyone on the complaint which was submitted regarding Decision 1509 last week. For clarification, and I hoped I'd made this clear in my report, the purpose of the complaint was to submit an injunction on the date of effectiveness for the removal, essentially, of the two representatives outlined in the decision. It was made clear in the complaint, but I would hope it was also made, I'm hoping it's made clear now too, that there was never an intent to suggest that innate identities of students on campus ought to be viewed at the same level or in the same respect as student identities and groups that you choose to become involved with. Those are two very different things, and I do think the current system is flawed, but the purpose was not to suggest otherwise. And so I want to make clear that we've petitioned the Judicial Board to simply extend the injunction, a petition more or less asking to push back that date of effectiveness without a complaint, and they have agreed to it, which means that the date of effectiveness is not at the hearing. It is instead at the end of the 15th Assembly, or by that time when a policy change which this Assembly passes to fix the system that is currently broken. And so we have, as such, rescinded that complaint on the grounds that there's essentially no need for a 2-week injunction. So to the representatives which were affected by that decision, I hope that you know that you are more than valued and more than welcome to continue contributing to the UPUA. And I hope that you do participate in the conversations moving forward as to how we can help build a more equitable and anti-racist and an anti-racist organization. Some of the ideas that I'd highlighted, for example, include, and this is maybe just for your consideration, the fact that at a predominantly white institution, our student government chooses to utilize 20 at-large representatives of a student body that is at-large white. I do think that that might be worth looking into and I suppose my entire reasoning behind the complaint, I would encourage you to consider that should that be changed, maybe we bring down our number of at-larges to 10 as opposed to 20, that the date of your removal is not in the middle of your terms, but rather at the start of the next assembly, as I think it would be fair and equitable to set it at. And obviously, Speaker Zhang can speak more on this, and Representative Bose as well. That's a full lid, as some people say. I don't know who anymore, but I'd be happy to take any questions and, importantly, incentives as to what students might want to see when encouraging them to go and get tested before going home.
Are there any questions for President McKay or incentives?
And feel free to text me if you have any ideas that pop up. I'd suggested maybe, and this might seem a little immature, just considering the time of things, but a promise of a football ticket years out in advance, I suppose, or hopping on a call with, I don't know, honestly, it's kind of, it is confusing, but I'd love to hear some ideas if you have any.
Chair Mishler?
At-large or at-large. Zach, I'd love to help with ideas around incentivizing, and I'd also be happy to add it to Student Life's agenda tomorrow to have a little brainstorming session if you want to pop in, or I can report back with kind of a larger discussion that we can have with more time on our hands. Best of luck promising a football ticket, as the university is convinced they don't owe us that. So anyway.
That's a good idea, thank you.
Also, I have a question. So surrounding the Title IX with Damon, is it, just so we are clear on people's responsibility, so is it kind of up to Student Affairs to start that kind of initial discussion, or he's pulling us into the room, correct? I just don't know if there's any action like I need to be taking following up. I'm pretty sure from our conversations it's him pulling us, but yeah.
Yep, you're right. It'll be Student Affairs leadership that pulls us aside and asks for student input. So don't worry, there's nothing that you're missing.
Are there any other questions for President McKay? All right, seeing none, we will now move on to my report. Oh goodness, okay, so this week we had, I continued interviews with the DEI AVP search committee. Again, I can't really go into much depth, but the ball is definitely rolling as the light in the office turns off. But the ball is definitely rolling, so obviously I want to continuously keep you guys updated as much as I can on that. Last night and tonight, the Mental Health Crisis Task Force that was created in the State College Borough had public meetings to basically present the research that we've collected in the past couple of months. This task force was created in response to the shooting of Osagie Osagi, and there has been incredible feedback from all across the borough, from residents, from students, from experts just in the surrounding area. So it's been really insightful. So if there's any I guess, record of public comment from those meetings, I would happy to send those along, and any reports, official reports that are released, I would love to send them along. There's been great research that's been done, but this isn't like the only thing that will be done. This is a continuous effort. So very excited to see that as the task force is wrapping up. Also today, I had a meeting with the class gift committee, just talking about what nominations were submitted, what would look best for the class of 2021 to do in terms of the class gift. Again, I can't release any much information as it is in preliminary stages, but I'm excited to see what the choices are, and hopefully the class of 2021 leaves a message that the history of Penn State will look back on, and that we chose resilience instead of negativity, I guess. Along with that, I will be attending a UHS candidate screening interview, I believe this following Friday. I think Chair Rodriguez is also going to be there, but we are down to 2 candidates, and this is basically a screening interview with student leaders. So we will let you know the updates, and the update would be the final candidate that's chosen. Also today, me and Zach met with Damon Sims, who's Vice President for Student Affairs. I did bring up Chair Rodriguez's work as well as my own with Tim, the President of the Indigenous People Student Association. This is not new information, as we've continuously talked about this. I will be sending over the working land acknowledgement to Damon. I will also be sending over any history or any updates over to him. He's excited. His response was that this is something that he would be happy to talk about and also continue with. He also has meets with the caucuses as well as other university leadership, and Tim was able to talk to them directly. So this is something that is quickly coming along, and I'm very happy to see, since the Indigenous people at Penn State have never been really recognized or even acknowledged, especially with their small population here. So that's an exciting update as well. And again, congrats to Chair Mishler and former Chair Santos for winning the Guide State Forward Award. Absolute powerhouses. I was not surprised by those winners. So again, congratulations. With that, I will take any questions. Also, I love your Halloween costumes. It's been cracking me up. All right. Seeing no questions, we will now move on to liaison/affiliate reports. If you are a liaison or affiliate and have a report, please raise your hand. Representative Bose, moving on.
Aaron Bose, moving on. Promo apps are still live. Please join the Best Music Festival and help us out.
Chair Doherty.
Hey guys, just quick update. Quick update on the Borough Council and everything that happened this past week. So we officially have 2 students on the Borough Council, which is a huge victory for us in GPSA and Penn State as a whole, which is really great. We're going to be looking to get those seats filled as soon as possible. Zach McKay and myself probably work on those details and a little more fine tune them. The College Township, I reached out to the College Township municipality, and they are actually interested also in adding a student representative position, which is really, really cool because I really want to get that done. Lastly, again, the borough use of force policy is officially on the borough website. That was a big thing being pushed by the 320 Coalition, and so now it is on there. So if you guys are interested at all, if you sit on JNE or Gov, you want to give that a look, it's just good information to know.
Also with that, if there are any questions for Representative Bose or Chair Doherty, feel free to ask them as well. But are there any other reports? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Oh, seeing no old business, we will now move into a 5-minute caucus breakout.
You have a costume. Can you please turn on your camera so I can make the poll so everyone can vote? If you have a costume, and maybe if you want to one by one unmute yourself and explain your costume, I'd love that so I can add it in here. Whoever wants to go first.
Hi, I am. Oh, I guess I froze. Did I freeze or did he freeze? Who's frozen?
Representative.
You're good. You're good.
Go for it. Go for it.
Wait, me? Okay. So I'm a plague doctor. I think it's pretty thin this year. I seriously can't tell. Is it Chair Doherty or myself that's lagging?
No, you're good. We can see you and hear you.
I'm a plague doctor. I mean, it's 2020 COVID times. It's a good time to be wearing a mask. I've got 2. And if anybody needs bloodletting, I've heard that's a great remedy for all of your ills. So drop on by Watts Hall.
I'm AOC. That's pretty much
actually iconic.
Thank you. My mom is going to be RBG. This costume is her idea.
I didn't know. I felt like you were either RBG or AOC. I was unsure, but I got it.
My mom has this fake pearl necklace that looks like one of AOC's collars that her boss gave her, so she's gonna wear that for Halloween. But I'm AOC, so that's all I gotta say.
I can go next. I'm an e-girl, but we have to get the full fits. There's the chain and the shoes. So I'm an e-girl.
I guess I'll go next. I'm a plague doctor as well, but more of like a, I don't know, like more of a masquerade-esque plague doctor. Like small mask and all. I have like makeup on to make it even pop more. That's my outfit.
I'm just a tourist taking in the beautiful sights of State College, you know. Can anyone point me to Old Main? I'm not sure where it is.
I'm Velma because I have bangs and own an orange sweater. Me doing the Velma position. What did she say? Jinkies? Jinkies!
Hi. Oh no. Oh, I'm a toilet.
Oh my God.
Sophie,
oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
Back up. I
gotta
need
put
to
it
see
on
this.
for the break.
I'm obsessed.
I'll back up. Hold on.
I'm pinning this. This video is getting pinned.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
Wait, does it pin a bit? Wait, it's pinned for everybody now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do it. That was just too good.
Amazing.
Thanks, everybody.
Ouch. That's icon. No one wants to go now. They're like, okay.
What is Cam? Cam, what are you?
I am one of the Shelby brothers from the Peaky Blinders, if you've seen the show.
Steven, what are you?
Okay, so I'm in my happy place on the beach, but the more I look at myself, the more I look like one of those like 60-year-old creepers that stare at people on the beach. So I think I'm gonna take this off as soon as possible, just to not get the wrong.
We love it.
Steven, I think I saw you in the back of like the Zapruder film.
Rest in peace.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
Wait, who's the ghost? And are they just not moving, or they're moving? They're moving.
No, I'm a ghost.
Okay, perfect.
I went classical. I work at Doggies, so we have to wear costumes to work. And I was like, what better costume to wear to work at a bar than a chic ghost, because you're risking your lives to come out to drink. So it's just going to be a classical reminder.
Who's the ghost?
Kaylee Quinnen, Arts and Architecture.
Wait, I'm a queen. Wait, okay, sorry. I live above Doggies. Fun fact. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I just thought it was fun.
Your fire alarm keeps going off.
Yeah, it's terrible. I had to flee my building like 12 times. It's so loud. And there's never a problem, so.
What can you do, man? What can you do?
Kaylee, I really thought that was like a profile picture. Like you look so like it's so symmetrical. You look so good.
Thank you. It was like $12 on Amazon. It's also a kid's costume, so it's obnoxiously short. What can you do, man?
Tom, did you ever explain your costume?
Yes, sorry. I am Tom. You can't find me usually. I actually did hide myself in this image here. There's a little Tom back here. You just have to look close. My screen captured for a very long time because I hid him very well. Hello, everyone. Okay, so just real quick, I'm gonna go down the list just so I don't miss anybody. You have Anne-Marie as AOC, Sophie as a toilet, Joshua as Plague Doctor, Ryan as Plague Doctor Part 2, Cameron, Peaky Blinders, Amanda Bird, Velma, Maddie, Tourist, Lake and E-Girl, Amy, Queen, Kaylee, Ghost. I kept out steering and leadership. I'm sorry, guys. We got enough recognition as it is. Is there anybody I am missing?
I want to. I am. Have you seen The Office? I'm a 3-hole punch Jim from The Office. Stole his Halloween costume.
Yeah, and I'm Kat Pam from The Office from the Halloween episode.
I love that. Give me a second. So I'm gonna create 2 polls. Everyone gets 1 vote.
I
So you
love
get to
the
vote.
collaboration. Oh my God, that was so precious.
Big
Yeah,
fan
that's
of The
a
Office duo. Great
collaboration
job.
between the UPUA yet.
You'll be in the next one.
Wait, did you intentionally both do office costumes or was that totally okay? Oh.
Well, I didn't know what I was gonna be, and so I texted her. I was like, "What should my Halloween costume be?" And she told me to be 3-hole punch Jim. And then she's like, "I'm a cat." And I'm like, Pam was a cat in that same episode. Oh wait, really? That works out.
Before I chose this one, I was trying to see if I could go as Dwight when he dresses up as other individuals in The Office, specifically when he dresses up as Meredith and he just goes like this. Couldn't find a wig though.
Tom, I'm giving you 2 minutes and then we gotta keep going.
I'm almost done.
You could just make a poll in like the Teams or the group me.
I'm doing that
We
right
did.
now. Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Everyone, please go to the group me and vote. You guys, you get 1 vote. You can't vote in 2 polls, but both of them have different, both of them have different, things you can vote for.
This is by far the hardest vote I've had to make this assembly.
This will be in the voting records.
It is not. It is not a. You will not know who voted for who, unfortunately.
The vote by roll call.
We're going to do this by roll call.
Security number.
I think this is a very important issue that our voters need to know about.
Do we vote once for both, or just in general 1?
Yeah, just you get 1 vote. You look at both the lists. Make sure you look at both the lists. I couldn't fit. The group me doesn't allow us to fit multiple names. So you get one vote.
Katie, type your phone number and I can add you.
Wait, I got it.
Never mind.
So much fun. I'm gonna announce the winner at during my chair report, so we don't, but whoever it is, I need your email so you can get a Starbucks gift card.
There's a Starbucks. I'm changing my vote to myself if there's a Starbucks gift card then.
There's a $10 Starbucks gift card. Also, you get a little crown. If you live in State College, maybe I'll meet you at the UPUA office and give it to you, but you can wear this at the next meeting or something. Small little fun thing. I think also Steven's going to be giving out a sticker. So
A sticker over teams.
is it like a pumpkin?
All righty, and with that, we're gonna move into new business. I'm happy you guys had fun at Caucus Breakout. With that, we'll have line item A, which is Bill 0515, Establishment of the Know Your Academic Rights, Academic Integrity, and Student Rights Campaign. Chair Barunji, if you'd like to introduce this.
Hi, I would like to defer to Erin to introduce this.
Hi, it will actually, Aaron Bowes at large, sorry. It'll actually be Sydney and I introducing it. Sydney, if you want to kick it off.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Sydney Gibbard, College of Engineering. So just some background between the Academic Rights Campaign. So basically, the Academic Rights Campaign has been something that UPUA has done annually for the past few years. They started it back in the 7th Assembly, actually. But what it does is seek to educate students about their academic rights, which may seem something that's not very interesting or exciting. And so UPUA has thought of a lot of really creative ways to spice it up and make it really engaging for students. Last year, one of the things that we did is we actually utilized TikTok and made some TikToks with academic policies on them. And we got a lot of engagement. Students were really excited about it. It was actually the last week before we left for spring break and then didn't return. But this year, we're looking to expand it in a few different ways, which will be really exciting. There will be TikToks again this year, graphics, raffles, and we're really looking to expand, see how many students we can reach on a virtual platform versus in the previous years, we've been doing tabling events. So this year has taken a lot of planning from several different groups, and Erin's going to talk about some of the decisions that we made and who we reached out to, and also a new addition to that our campaign that is not just academic rights this year, but it also includes academic integrity as well.
Thanks, Sydney. So Sydney and I have been, or Representative Gibbard and I have been sitting on the Academic Integrity Task Force for the past couple of months. And it's really been geared towards pushing a student campaign and student-friendly campaign around academic integrity. So we're really excited to incorporate that into this year's Know Your Academic Rights campaign. We really wanted to expand the breadth of this campaign. So we have been collaborating with World Campus Student Government, GPSA, and CCSG, and they're all contributing such great things. For example, CCSG made some great videos. GPSA and World Campus are working on more of the graphics, and we're working on the TikToks. A really exciting thing that's going to come out of this is we're going to be having a joint town hall on November 4th at noon. In this town hall, we'll be hearing kind of from the student governments and allowing them to also field questions about the academic policies and ask any questions and really explain the policies as well. This is also where we'll be raffling off our prize. I don't want to speak for the other student governments yet because they haven't passed a lot of this through, although they've signaled that they can regarding the raffle, but we will be contributing Amazon Echo Dots to the raffle, and each student government so far has committed that we would give 1 Echo Dot per student government, except for us, we're looking to contribute 2 Echo Dots since we have a larger population than the other student governments. We will also be creating and sending out stickers. We decided on 200. The stickers will be going to the winners of the raffle, as well as just overall general population as well. So we're excited for everybody to see the campaign and to do all these events throughout the next 2 weeks, starting next week and ending on November 6th. And a big thing that we're going to be pushing as well is election day leniency, of course, because the election's coming up as well. So we will stand for questions.
Are there any questions for Representative Bose or Representative Gibbard? Chair Jordan?
Sarah Jordan at large. So I don't know if you did this already, but can you explain the process of how like students can get enrolled in the Echo Dots? Like I know last year we were like in person doing it. So is there going to be like any of that, or is it all online?
So we're going to be sending out some sort of Google form throughout the social media campaign. A big reason why we decided to have each student government do their own Echo Dot is because the way that student fee dollars work, the University Park student fee dollars can only go to University Park students. So through having separate Echo Dots and separate raffle prizes, we're going to be making sure that our student fee dollars go to a prize to a University Park student, and et cetera for the other student governments as well.
Are there any other questions for Representative Bose or Representative Gibbard? Representative Risser?
I just have a super quick question. Just out of curiosity, why specifically Echo Dot for like a prize?
I wish it would be a little bit more complex other than we raffled that off last year. So it was kind of just a continuation of the campaign.
Cool.
Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, is there any discussion? Representative Gibbard?
Hi, Sydney Gibbard, College of Engineering. Stephen already sent, or Representative Zhang, Speaker Zhang, sorry. He already sent out the amendment that I'm planning on making, but basically what I'm amending is the funding for the campaign. It'll be an Echo Dot for 2 Echo Dots for $39.99 each, $79.98 total. 200 3x2 stickers, $96 each for the total of the 200 stickers. We've also included a budget for shipping costs. We're planning on shipping the Echo Dots to University Park and then including them with stickers and then shipping them out to whoever the recipients are of the Echo Dots, potentially with like a sheet of different policies that are extremely relevant to students these days. And the shipping costs, we've allocated $15 for each shipment for $75 total. We're planning on doing the shipments for all of the Echo Dots, which the other student governments will be contributing. Just for context and for some transparency's sake, we were planning on having a budget of $1,000 for this campaign, and that's what it has been in the past. But this year we decided that since we aren't doing in-person tabling, we definitely scaled it down a lot from the things that we would normally give out. So it's been a 75% decrease in what we are initially expecting to spend on this.
All right, seeing that that's an amendment, is there a second? All right, and then I'm assuming the hands up aren't for discussion, but is there any discussion on the amendment or are we good to go?
Mine is up for discussion, sorry.
Representative Bose?
Aaron Bose at large. Just for clarification, I think a motion to amend 2x2 to 3x2, and then just taking out the, I don't know what it's technically called, but the squiggly line before 250. Thanks.
Do I see a second for that? All right. I'm going to take all of that as friendly and there's no discussion. All right, moving forward, is there any other discussion?
I motion to amend the type 40 to be 135322.57.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any other discussion? I'm going to take general consensus with that because that's just factual. All right. Seeing no other discussion, I'm going to close the floor for debate. And with that, we'll do a roll call because it is a bill, it's required. So Secretary Thomas, when you are ready, you may start roll call.
RC Kalor.
Yes.
Adeline Mishler.
Yes.
Alexander Wu.
Yes.
Amanda Bird.
Yes.
Amy Gary.
Yes.
Anna Taylor.
Yes.
Anne Marie Round Sorensen.
Yes.
Blake Tolliver. Brian Schultz.
Yes.
Cameron McColgan.
Yes.
Kara Flegel.
Yes.
Dan Risser.
Yes.
Aaron Bose.
Yes.
Jacob Klipstein.
Yes.
Gerald Gibbs. John Mark Miller.
Yes.
Joshua
Yes.
Cara DeLucio, Kelly Snyder, Kyle Quinn,
Yes.
Lakin Meter,
Yes.
Lewis Richardson,
Yes.
Emmanuel Alamonte, Marie Meisner,
Yes.
Maddie McIntyre,
Yes.
Megan Dalo,
Yes.
Najee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Noah Robertson,
Yes.
Patricia Barangi,
Yes.
Rainier Foley Di Fiore,
Yes.
Refugio Lara,
Yes.
Ryan Lascalzo,
Yes.
Samantha Brown,
Yes.
Sarah Jordan,
Yes.
Siddhi Deshpande,
Yes.
Sophia Polio,
Yes.
Stephen Zhang,
Yes.
Sydney Gibbard,
Yes.
Tim Tierney,
Yes.
Tom Dougherty,
Yes.
Zerao Shah,
Yes.
Eugene Young, Yuna Choi. Is there anyone?
Yuna votes yes. She just can't talk right now.
Oh, wait, thank you. Is there anyone else I missed?
All right, and with that, Bill 0515, establishment of the Know Your Rights campaign, academic integrity and student rights campaign, passes with a vote of 38-0, and it is unanimous. And with that, we will move on to line item B, which is resolution 3315, creation of soft edge campaign in condemnation of the Department of Homeland Security's new policy of restricting H-1B visas for international students. Chair Doherty, if you'd like to introduce this.
Sorry, Lexi, it's going to be Tony that's introducing it.
That is my bad. Representative Shi.
Hi, Tony Shi, International Student Council. So this new rule is announced by the Department of Homeland Security and also with Department of Labor, because that's related to jobs. Earlier this month, the proposed reason of publishing this new policy into effectiveness is that they want to restore the job integrity of U.S. employment market, but it's not going to really do that. So the first component of this new policy is that it requires the employers to give higher salaries to H-1B visa holders, which mostly this rate is 40% higher than the domestic workers working in the same job positions or similar job positions. The second component is that it restricts the H-1B visa holders to only work in the fields they receive their diplomas in. For example, if I graduate with a computer science major, which I will, and I receive my diploma in computer science, that I can only seek for jobs that software software developers, but not something like in the HR department or PR department, etc. The third component of this policy is that it reduces the visa duration from 6 years to 4 years, which gonna cause people to rapidly, reapply for their visa. But to even prepare for all the materials for this visa it takes up to a year, because it asks all your detailed backgrounds, including where you went to elementary school. So yeah. So the consequence of this new policy is that, first of all, the U.S. employers will be less interested to hire any graduate international students. So this is going to turn away a lot of, talented students, and also the students feel the, stress to reapply the visa constantly, which is also going to, turn them away from, any U.S. based jobs. And also, the thing is that there are currently 2 lawsuits against this new policy. The meaning is that a kind of violates Administrative Procedure Act, which this new policy went into effect immediately without any trial period for any comments, because it's supposed to be like you need to let the public to have this commentary period. So, to see if the public actually, welcomes this new policy. If not so, they need to draw it back to they need to recommit it, either to change it or cancel it at all. Currently, these 2 lawsuits as updated recently, so I haven't, add them to the resolution. The universities are University of Michigan, University of Denver, University of Indiana, Caltech, Stanford, Cornell, University of South California, and University of Rochester. I mean, if University of Michigan is doing it, we're supposed to also doing it. So, yeah. I think, yeah, so what we are trying to do is to create a self-edge campaign to basically urge our university administrators and our, state and legislators, even our, federal government legislators, to actually voice against for this, and even for the university to join the lawsuit. Yes. Yeah. I'm finished. Yeah.
All right, with that, are there any questions for Representative Shi? All right, seeing no questions, is there any discussion? Chair Rodriguez?
Measure Rodriguez, College of the Liberal Arts. I just wanted to, again, commend Representative Shi for bringing this to UPUA's attention and to ensure that there's adequate attention being given to this matter. And I'm hopeful that with future advocacy, we can ultimately support and bolster kind of this condemnation against this decision and support our international student community.
Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing no discussion or debate, I'm going to close the floor. With that, because it's a resolution, it's the same process. Please head over to Microsoft Teams to the General Assembly channel, and that's where Speaker Zong will send the form. Again, I won't give it all that much time, so please head over to the Teams as soon as you can. If you have technical difficulties and can't access Teams, just message me directly on Zoom, and so I can get your vote. But with that, head over to Teams, cast your vote as quickly as you can, and again, let me know of any technical difficulties. I'm gonna give it about 30 seconds and we'll be closing the form. All right, so Resolution 3315, creation of soft edge campaign and condemnation of the Department of Homeland Security's new policy restricting H-1B visas for international students, passes unanimously with a vote of 39-0. With that, we'll move on to line item C, which is Resolution 3415, support for the ECOSHA campaign. I believe Chair Jordan or whoever would like to represent this, you may start speaking. Again, remember the 3-minute rule.
Wait, this isn't mine.
Lexi, I'm sorry, this is this is me and Patty.
All right, that is my bad. I'm getting confused with committees tonight. I'm so sorry.
I can take it over, no worries. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess good evening at this point. It's getting a little bit late in the night. I'll just have a little bit of your time to introduce this piece of legislation today. It's a great piece of legislation. I can't wait to talk about it. So essentially what ECOSHA is ECOSHA is a search engine that translates the ad revenue generated from student searches into dollars that get sent to support tree planting missions across the globe. Now, the ECOSHA campaign here at Penn State is a movement to adopt ECOSHA as the default search engine of Penn State University. This campaign has been done at multiple universities across the globe, including primary universities in Liverpool and Berlin, and specifically the Ohio State University. And movements like this typically get done in collaboration with university IT systems to implement the search engine in library programs on school computers, but also can be done as a social media campaign to encourage faculty, staff, and students to download the extension for themselves and use it on their personal computers. We have a couple excellent students here at the UPUA working in the Department of Sustainability right now in developing the campaign, and I would love to provide them some additional support from the power and the influence of the UPUA as an organization. This would be a fantastic campaign and would help Penn State to offset their carbon footprint and be in touch with the UPUA mission to pursue the sustainability development goals. I stand for any current questions, and I'm happy to talk a little more about the legislation if you guys would like.
Are there any questions for Representative Foley Di Fiore? All right, seeing no questions, is there any discussion? I'll always encourage a voice of support even. Representative Bose, thank you.
Aaron Bose at large. I really just want to give both Representative Foley Di Fiore and the members of the Department of Sustainability so much credit on this. I think it's awesome in moving to not only give Penn State a sort of default search engine, but also do it in a sustainable way in which we can really make an impact, not only at Penn State, but around the globe.
Is there any other discussion?
Can you just scroll down a little bit, please? Never mind. I was gonna motion to be a co-signer, but I already am.
All right, with that, I see a motion to pass by unanimous consent. I see a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? If I don't see any, I'll take general consensus on that. All right, general consensus say that Resolution 3415, support for the ECOSIA campaign, passes unanimously. Love to see that unanimous consent's back. All right, and with that, we'll move on to line item D, Resolution 3515, creation of a soft edge campaign in support of HR 7120, George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2020. Chair Doherty or any of the representatives who would like to present this, please do.
I'm going to allow the representatives. We brought this to they brought this to Gov Affairs. We didn't have time to vote on this because they're still coming to different committees and also caucuses. So I put a quick poll about an idea of having a vote by consent, which is a little bit different of an idea. Basically, just allowing people to know that like Gov Affairs did see it and it did get a majority yes vote in Gov Affairs today in the group me. So that's just kind of like why that's up there. But this is still being brought by 2/3.
And I can introduce the resolution as well. So I really want to give credit to a student. His name's Anthony Avella. He's currently on the call as an attendee. He really brought this to my attention and to other representatives' attention. So I want to give him a lot of credit on the work of this resolution. To give a little bit of background context, on June 28th, 2020, the United States House of Representatives, sorry, my words are gone today. The House of Representatives introduced the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2020. This act really aims to give a lot of different police reforms, including eliminating qualified immunity, banning chokeholds, making it easier to prosecute police misconduct, etc. It passed with a vote of 236 to 181, and it was received by the Senate, but it hasn't seen any further action since. Kind of looking a little bit closer into the state, Pennsylvania House of Representatives and the Senate have all sponsored 4 different bills throughout the past year, kind of addressing parts of 7120, but 7120 definitely is a little bit more overarching and more including of a lot of different police reforms. The House bills did pass through, the Senate bills, however, did not. The Senate bills include things like talking about use of force, etc. We talk about this later in the recommended course of action, but we're creating 2 separate soft edge campaigns, one geared toward 7120 and the other one geared toward passing through these Senate bills as well. Tying it even closer, more locally, Osaze Osagi was tragically murdered after State College Police gave a mental health 302 warrant. And the police officers really did benefit from that qualified immunity. Their names still haven't been disclosed and the officers haven't been charged. So it's important to even the State College community that this is passed, not only for overall police reform, but since this case does fall so close to home. You'll see in the appendix the language of the soft edge campaigns that we plan to pass and plan to really start up and get word around about it. And I think that's pretty much it. If Representative Tierney has anything to say, or even if Anthony Avella, who's here, has anything to say. Other than that, we stand for questions.
Yep, I'll just add one quick thing. I don't know if Aaron mentioned it, but we also have verbiage in here that support the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act as well. That's also in the soft edge campaign. So it's those 2 along with the 2 PA Senate bills that we're going to be writing the soft edge campaigns for.
Are there any questions for the representatives? And Anthony, if you'd like to add anything, feel free to raise your hand and I can allow you to speak as well. But with that, are there any questions in general? All right, seeing no questions, is there any discussion?
I would like to motion to be added as a co-signer, please.
Is there a second for that? And representatives that are co-sponsors, do you take that as friendly? Just give me a yes in the chat if so. Okay. Representative Bose?
I forgot to mention this in the introduction. Kind of as Chair Doherty had mentioned, we did bring this in front of the Governmental Affairs Committee and allowed them to have discussion and make any revisions. We also brought it to the Committee on the Justice and Equity Committee and to do the same exact thing. And we also brought it in front of the cultural caucuses so that they could also see the legislation and make any changes to it as well.
Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, I will now close the floor. Same thing as last time. Please head over to Teams to the General Assembly channel, and that's where the form will be sent. Yeah, so please cast your vote as soon as you can, just so we can get that vote in. Speakers on will send the form. And again, as usual, if there are any technical difficulties, please just private message me on Zoom so I can get your vote down. I'm going to give it the 30-second call, but please get your vote in if you haven't already. All right, so resolution 3515, creation of a soft edge campaign in support of HR 7120, George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2020 passes with a vote of 37-0 to 2. And with that, we will move down to the next item, which is report by the Chief Justice of the Judicial Board. Chief Justice Shookman.
Okay, hi everyone. I hope that you're all having a good week. I love the energy of the costumes, so I hope we can all hold on to some of this great fall Halloween energy. So moving into a few quick announcements from the Judicial Board, the Chief Justice application is still open. So if you know anyone who'd like to apply, and actually people in the legislative and executive are eligible to apply if you'd like to. So definitely reach out to me if you know anyone that has interest in it, or if you have any questions about the position in general. The Judicial Board met this past Monday mainly to discuss the complaint filed by Speaker Zong, Representative Bose, and President McKay. As they had mentioned earlier, a petition was brought to the Judicial Board earlier today. This petition was basically stating that because we, as the UPUA, are subject to federal and state law, and that would apply before our own governing documents, according to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 65. We are able to basically have a temporary restraining order put in place. So that is what was put in place earlier today. The Judicial Board did vote to enact that. So that is what President McKay was referring to, so that the decision will not go into effect until the conclusion of the 15th Assembly of the UPUA. And then other news surrounding the complaint, a case brief on the complaint was filed earlier today, and then shortly after that complaint was withdrawn. So we will not be having a hearing on decision 15-009. That's really all I have. I'd love to answer any questions if anybody has them. And I know Justice Poole is also on the call and is able to answer any questions about common law or anything else going on in the
Rachel, oh, Chief Justice Shookman, you got cut off in the end. I don't know if there was anything more to your report.
Oh, I just said if anyone has any questions, I can answer, and also Justice Poole, I believe, is here, and he said that he is willing to answer any questions.
Okay, so Chair Jordan,
Questions
questions?
at large. Yeah, I have a question about the application for Chief Justice. When will that, what's the process with that? I know you said you were working on it. When will you be appointing someone?
Sure. So as you guys know, Chief Justice is actually a presidential appointment, so the application isn't necessary. It's really just a way for President McKay and I to kind of gauge interest and see who's interested in the position. I imagine that once the application is closed, him and I will hold interviews and he will ultimately select the next Chief Justice. I don't know when we're planning on closing that. That may be more of a President McKay question. But as of now, I don't believe I've had anyone apply so far. So it obviously will be open for a little bit longer.
Chief Justice Shookman, you got cut off again. I don't know if you wanted to finish your statement.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think my internet's just kind of acting up today. I said that it'll be open for probably another week at the least, but again, that's probably more of a President McKay question.
Right. And Representative Lascalzo.
Ryan Lascalzo, Lion Pride representative. My question is if any new organizations have applied for community group seats, / if any of the current current community group seats have reapplied. That's been, ones that haven't reapplied yet since last week. Have they applied? That's my question. Sorry if I was worded confusingly.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I understand what you mean. So to answer your question, no new groups have applied in this past week. We are still waiting on the reapplication from the Interfraternity Council as well as the Panhellenic Council, but the other 5 groups that need to be approved have reapplied, and we are in the process of reviewing their applications. I know that the justices that are working on certain applications have reached out, and I know that they have I believe received the meeting schedules of those organizations, but just keep in mind it will take some time for us to complete the vetting process, because since we have to go to 2 meetings of each organization, and some organizations have bi-weekly or monthly meetings, it can just take a little bit of time to fulfill the meeting requirements.
I also see a question in the chat, which I'll also then relay. When does the application close, just for reiteration?
Yeah, so as I said before, ultimately, you know, that is up to President McKay as it's his appointment. I would imagine it'll be open for at the very least another week, but perhaps longer.
All right, are there any other questions for Chief Justice Shookman? I'll also clarify, Representative Robertson meant for community groups.
Okay, got it. So according to the governing documents, community groups must reapply in the fall semester. So up until December 11th, but then I guess through finals week would be the 18th. So by mid-December, those reapplications do need to.
All right, are there any other questions for Chief Justice Shookman? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to executive reports. Are there any executive directors with a report? So please raise your hand. All right, seeing no executive reports, we'll move on to report by the Speaker of the Assembly. Speaker Zhang.
Yeah, I guess most of my past week has been focused on submitting that complaint to Judicial Board and working out how to keep the seats in Assembly. And of course, as everyone else has also elaborated on, I'm free for questions to really answer about the process and kind of like what I guess my thought process in going through everything. The TLDR is that the Greek representatives are extended to the end of the 15th Assembly. I believe the Greek life organizations need to work with the UPUA to fix some of the issues in that J-Board motion. And we're also, Chair Rodriguez and Representative Scalzo have been working on policy changes that clarify the community group seat process. So if you're interested in, you know, helping out or giving more information on that, I'm sure they'd love to work with you guys and kind of provide more information about what we're kind of looking to do. Elections codes, I've started doing work sections for elections codes on Saturdays from 10 to 11 a.m. I put p.m. in the report. Please don't message me at 10 p.m. on Saturday asking about elections code. I'm not mentally ready for that. 10 a.m. we're talking about a lot of the issues that I think we should be looking for solutions for. For example, we've always, if it was a if it was a non-pandemic year, typically we have like a lot of students, like, for example, campaigning in downtown apartment complexes and getting let in and stuff. Like that's just been a historical fact. Like there's no legality around it because it's hard to regulate. But at the same time, you know, especially with the state of the world now, I'm starting to find that that's kind of dangerous, knocking on strangers' doors in apartment complexes, not knowing who's behind the door, especially given, you know, I feel like the world's just become a lot more polarized in the past few, you know, weeks and months. And I don't know if I would feel safe in the future knocking on doors in random apartment complexes that I don't live in just to get votes, but it's been a reality. And like, there's a lot of issues like that where I would love to work with more people and trying to find ways to, you know, continue to make elections a safe and equitable, you know, affair for a lot of people. Hopefully we'll get these changes in before winter break so we don't spend like 14 hours combined on elections codes like we did last year, which was not a fun time. But you know, this stuff gets figured out a lot easier if we go through the work session, make sure everyone's on the same page before we bring it to the floor. So yeah. One-on-ones this week, I can extend to next week if needed to accommodate reps, but it's really important that, you know, we get to at least have a small chat, 10-15 minutes if we need, a bit longer if you need that as well. I'm sending the link in Zoom, at least I hope that's the one for the one-on-ones and not something like weird But please sign up so that we can have a quick chat. If you like don't have anything, I'd appreciate if you at least like send me a text and be like, hey, I'm good to go, but thanks for like checking in. Or if you just have like a quick question and you don't want to, you know, I guess that's okay. I'd be a bit sad, but like that's okay. Just like send me a message and just be like, okay, like I don't need anything, we're good to go. But yeah, also let me know if you know can't make it this week. So again, I'll kind of gauge whether I want to open up more slots next week depending on how many people aren't able to make a one-on-one to tomorrow or Friday. Yeah, legislative ad hoc is Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Elections code again is Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. 100% recommend coming so we can discuss a lot of the changes that we'd want to make for the upcoming elections and stuff. Sorry, that's the end of my report. Like I wasn't, yeah.
Sorry, that was my bad. Are there any questions for speakers on? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to comments of the committees, starting with academic affairs. Chair Barungi.
Hi guys, so thank you so much for sitting through and listening to our report today. I really appreciate everybody who cares about the work that we're doing in AC and wanted to stay updated. So if you guys have any further questions about that, or you have students who have questions, definitely like relay that to myself or any of the reps who are working on this initiative. Also, thank you for passing our 2 pieces of legislation today. We'll make sure that those are followed through. The only other things that I had from this week are that I attended a meeting with the new Team Student Success Resource Office on Friday to just give them feedback about the fall semester and improvements. So hopefully we can hear about what the results of that meeting kind of lead to. Hopefully we have a much better format for the spring and continuing to work on Lion Link. I'm a very tired person right now. A lot's been going on, but yeah, that's all I had. If you guys ever have any questions or want to collaborate on other projects, let me know. Have a great rest of your night.
Are there any questions for Chair Barungi? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to facilities with Chair Jordan.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. So a little quick few updates. I'm in the process of creating the Lyft subsidy program for November and January. This is gonna look a little bit different this year because of the break and stuff. So we're gonna keep the Lyft codes open from a week before Thanksgiving break, November, and then coming back in January, a week before and after as well. What to Fix Day is going to be November 9th, so mark your calendars for that and more updates to come. And then we are doing something similar as a Fuel for Finals, where we would have the coffee in the hub, something more, you know, COVID safe. We're still trying to figure that out in facilities, but keep yourselves, you know, in the loop with that because that will be happening before Thanksgiving break. But other than that, we're always open to have any reps come to facilities Sundays at 12 via Zoom. Hope to see you all there. And as always, reach out with any questions. You have my phone numbers, call or text me. Thanks, everyone.
Are there any questions for Chair Jordan? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to governmental affairs with Chair Doherty.
Hey guys, thanks for putting up with my antics tonight. Just really quickly, everyone in Gov Affairs, please complete your tasks before tomorrow. They're in Teams. Post any updates you have in your respective channels for the initiatives. I already got mine done. I know Cameron was doing a great job progress on his, sending out emails. So please do so. Make sure you CC me on those as well. Besides that, a little more in depth about what the College Township is looking for. I already set up a meeting with Adam Brumbaugh. We're going to be meeting shortly to talk. He is the manager of the College Township Council. So that's really cool. And I'm hoping that would mean more student representation. I want all of the borough representatives. I want all these student representatives. It's going to be great. Besides that, I have an announcement for the winner of the Halloween contest, which is Sophie. Congratulations on winning as Toilet. That's very awesome. If you can put your email in the chat just so I can send you the Starbucks gift card, thank you for everyone for participating. I think these make our meetings a little bit more fun, but I'm very happy that I got so many participants, and it's a very different Halloween this year. And so try your best to keep the spirit alive in all these different holidays. May not be by family, may not be able to do normal things, but there's always ways we can celebrate. So thank you guys.
Are there any questions for Chair Doherty? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to Justice and Equity with Chair Rodriguez.
Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday and happy UPUA, because that's a take on Halloween, but with UPUA. So hope everyone enjoyed that. Moving on, since that did not land as I thought it would. Tomorrow on Thursday, August 22nd, which is tomorrow again, the Know Your Rights While Protesting webinar will be taking place. I hope to see all of you there, or as many of you as that would like to be there. I hope to see you there. Officer Shelley Stevick and Chief of University Police Michelle Beckenbaugh will be presenting, as well as the Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Iris Richardson. So if you guys are interested, the information of the event is located on our social media platforms. So please be sure to share that, especially tomorrow, and to your respective communities or any group meetings that you may be in, so we can get a good turnout. I recently was in contact with the Office of Strategic Communications to discuss the implementation of a new advocacy campaign on par with the "You Are Welcome Here" banners, in case anyone was wondering what was happening with that. So I'm excited to see this new approach, and I'm excited to kind of share the new direction once the details kind of get solidified. So that's really exciting. In terms of the graphics for the disproportionate effects of the COVID-19 roundtable on underrepresented communities and solutions, we're accepting interest forms now. So please share those. It's a really simple link. It is tinyurl.com/UPUA COVID-19 roundtable. Essentially, as we saw in the presentation before, it's kind of important that we kind of figure out ways to kind of mitigate the impact of COVID on underrepresented communities, especially at our university, which just highlights why this is so important now more than ever. So please be sure to share that and to share that link. I'll be posting kind of an update tomorrow, and I would appreciate that with you guys. Justice and Equity will be meeting on Friday, and we have allocated some time to go over some revisions to the governing documents. So there's been some progress there. So kudos to Representative Scalzo. And we're trying to kind of be as comprehensive as we can, given that governing documents and changes to those are very impactful. So we want to be as precise as we can be. So other than that, I really hope I see you guys tomorrow. We're really excited, and I hope you have a great, lucky rest of your Wednesday.
Are there any questions for Chair Rodriguez? I swear to God, you guys are really messing with my poker face lately. All right, with that, we'll move on to student life with Chair Mishler.
Hello, Mishler at large. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Not to copy Najee, because there's no one that can do that better than him. But so last week, I attended the PRCC Pride in Our Community Pep Rally, which was obviously the best event that's happened this year. I think as of last year and the year before that and the year before that. That was an incredible experience, which also reminds me to go to the teams. I saw some of my committee members there, and if you watch virtually, thank you. Go to the teams and make sure you're submitting your reports from last week, as well as having a discussion and sharing your experience from that event would be super cool. And then also on Friday, I attended a discussion with some other chairs and representatives just surrounding feedback about the fall semester and suggestions for the spring going forward. We really had a far-reaching conversation and really hit on a lot of multi-dimensional issues that students are facing. So I think that that's great and going back into the right hands. So thanks for your continued input and perspective and opinions, because they go far. Today, we met with Art with Impact, which is a nonprofit organization that UPUA has worked with in the past. They do an incredible job really helping us critically and professionally serve and address stigmatizations at Penn State. So had a productive conversation there about exploring some dates in the future going forward where we can collaborate with them. We haven't talked about the student fee board a lot in this space, so and we've been doing a lot of stuff. So I think that it's worth giving some time to, and also questions can be directed to Zach and Lexi as well, as well as Tony. So the student fee board, we've completely been working on our mission, vision, and values. So those were great sessions. We've been putting in some time here on weekends and Friday mornings bright and early to kind of reimagine and revitalize the fee board. And I think it's been great. So I'm excited about that, and would encourage you all to kind of inquire about that to see what your fee board wants to prioritize on behalf of all students. And we're currently working with offices to just kind of address some of their small concerns right in the beginning. We're not quite into the proposals yet, or meeting with all of the offices one-on-one for those proposals. We're having some sessions to answer questions about changes to the fee board, and as well as kind of just gauge the challenges they're facing with COVID and how they're pivoting. So those have been insightful as well. And we kind of have a little bit of a temperature on all those different offices that get that student funding. So if you ever have questions, come to the people that sit on the fee board, and we can maybe provide some more input and perspective. Yeah, and then working on some other cool projects like care packages and trying to figure out this whole world of testing. Yeah, so cool stuff there. So tomorrow, committee at 6 p.m. on Zoom. So I would encourage you to, prior to coming to committee, to attend Justice and Equities event at 5 p.m. And then head on over to our Zoom. So yeah, come early and go to the Know Your Rights While Protesting event at 5. And then head on over to us. Yeah, come excited. We're gonna do some reorienting and some reorganizing for the year, and have some discussions on what we spoke on earlier with President McKay for some feedback and some brainstorming sessions there, which I always enjoy with you guys. Also, last thing, I do want to say, I forgot to say it last week, but congratulations to Amanda Bird, who received the Jeff Gockley Memorial Award. From my understanding, it's the highest undergraduate award in her department. So that's really cool. We love to see the seniors doing big things, and in kind of this terrible year here. So congratulations, Amanda. Sorry I didn't get to say that last week. I'm a little bit late now, but still valuable, still cool. Way to go. Have a good week, guys. See you tomorrow at committee.
Are there any questions for Chair Mishler? And also congrats, Amanda. All right, seeing none. And I just want to say I love the love in the chat. Seeing no questions, we'll move on to comments for the good of the order. Are there any comments for the good of the order? Representative Bose.
Aaron Bose at large. I have a couple of updates on 2 different subjects. So first of all, thank you so much to everybody here for sharing the survey on alternative grading. It definitely would not have been able to be as successful as it was without everybody here sharing it. As a quick update, it's up to 7.2 thousand responses, which is awesome. Hopefully it'll grow to 10,000 by the special Senate meeting next week. Speaking of that, please attend the special Senate meeting next week. It's next Thursday at 1 p.m. They're capped at 500 attendees. There's 273 senators. Not all will probably show up, although we're hoping for a majority of them. But we're really looking to make sure that we show that students are interested and do want alternative grading. So you showing up would really be helpful. And then on another subject, the Employee Training Advisory Committee about mandatory bias training for all faculty at Penn State. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update. I can't disclose all of the different things, especially since it was a beginning meeting, but I do want to give you all an update on the charges. We have 5 charges. We're charged by the Associate Vice President of Affirmative Action, and President Barron. Our charges are first to familiarize ourselves with the current training that Penn State offers, and in multiple different departments as well. Our second charge is to review and evaluate bias training programs, both internal and external, that we can do. Money so far is not a problem either. Our third charge is to evaluate what training mechanism that we want to go through. So hybrid, in-person, online, everything's basically on the table. The fourth charge is to establish some compliance guidelines. So what do we do if a faculty member decides to not take the training? How do we enforce that this is a mandatory training for all faculty? And then the fifth is an assessment mechanism where we can really look back at this training and gather some data on, is this training effective? Do we need to do more? Are we missing any areas? Kind of what assessments can we have there? We also had a very extensive discussion on the Trump administration's executive order, basically about the excessive content ban. To make it clear to everybody, this does not apply to classrooms as long as the content is displayed objectively and without endorsement. There's a lot of confusion on what that could mean. So we're also having conversations about that. The administration is looking into the different trainings that we have. But if anyone has any questions on anything, feel free to send it to my way.
All right, Representative Gibbard.
Yeah, I was just going to say two quick things that are unrelated. First of them is that I would love to hear some of the executive reports. I know like last year we got to see what the executive branch is doing kind of more in the office and stuff, but I'd love to hear what people are up to and like see if they need any help from committees. I just feel like that'd be really awesome. And like, I know everyone's doing some really interesting stuff, but I'd love to hear about it in meetings. The second thing is just echoing what Aaron said, come to the meeting next Thursday at 1 p.m. If we have like the 500 max, then it will show like overwhelming student support. We've never hit that limit before in a faculty senate meeting. So that'd be really great. You just have to show up. And if you want anything said on the floor, feel free to email, text, or put in the teams for any of the faculty senators. Thank you.
All right, Chair Rodriguez.
Hi, everyone. Again, just wanted to emphasize tomorrow, 5:00 p.m., be there, be square. The link is on the social media. And then two, I also wanted to bring attention again to the fact that we're allotting specific time in Justice and Equity's meeting to kind of discuss governing document reviews, and all voices are very beneficial. And just to provide clarity, the reason why we're spearheading kind of this change is due to the impact that it has on certain community groups, especially those that are representing underrepresented communities. And we're hoping to remedy a lot of kind of the past discrepancies in terms of bias and discrimination within the UPUA. Thanks, have a great night.
Representative Scalzo.
Okay, three short things. Number one, kind of jumping off of a previous point someone made, I would really like to hear some more liaison and affiliate reports during the meetings. Like, I have no idea what goes on with PASS or APTS or like community diversity liaison or any of those groups because people don't speak. I think those things are really important for us to maintain like what's going on, how are things going on in the future. Another thing, as a reminder, it's LGBT History Month. The Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity has hosted a number of events, a number of speakers, as mentioned earlier. And generally on Wednesdays is when they also host events for like just in general. So if you ever want to, like just before our meeting, so if you ever want to attend one of those things, they're usually hosted at the center or online. You can you can look those up on either their Twitter or on their listserv. And then I also wanted to mention like just like a thing like the Judicial Board's decision like a while ago and how that has practically affected like communities and such. The Lion Pride is currently actively revising our constitution, specifically surrounding my position out of like, because they don't want to like, we want to make sure there's absolutely no reason for any potential removal in the future. And I really want us to understand that the decision the J Board made, even though they have changed their minds on things, certainly does still have lots of effects on these communities. And because of it, particularly my group is looking into making sure that it's very clear that we're following the rules.
Representative Clipstein.
Hi, everyone. So this is actually kind of on Ryan's comment. I forgot to give a liaison report today. So I have a liaison report from the Association of Big Ten Students. Tonight, currently right now, during our meeting, they're actually having a roundtable meeting about student athletes in our universities. So if anyone wants to hop on after this call, feel free. If anyone wants to pitch in or just hear or like see what the ABTS is about, this is a great opportunity. It's really similar to how the roundtables work at our conferences. So if you've never gotten the chance to go to a ABTS conference, this is a little piece of it from your living room. So everything's going good with the ABTS. They're putting on events like this once a month. Yeah, if anyone has any questions about the ABTS or anything going on, just let me know. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
And with that, I'll also encourage you all to look at the chat with Representative Bose's comment with a possible resolution in the future. But with on the queue, Chair Doherty.
Sorry, you cut out. Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Sorry, I didn't say it during my report. I just want to give a huge shout out to Representative Meter. Her and I and a couple other reps worked intensively on a voter guide over the past week, so we didn't have to spend a lot of student fee dollars to have it designed. I think it looks really great. She did so much work, and I just want to give amazing like kudos to her. We're going to try to see if we could potentially get it printed out to be able to give on a catibus that we're still working on the bill for that as well. So that goes through. We'd love that. My goal was to make sure it didn't look like an obituary like some of the voter guides do. And I think this looks incredibly far from obituary. I actually showed it to a lot of my friends and they're just like, oh yeah, I'd read that. And I went like, really? And like, would you read this? And I showed them the other voter guides and they said, oh no, I would not read that. So it's perfect. I'm really excited. I hope that this becomes a trend every year.
Representative Tierney.
Tim Tierney at large. Really quick, I just wanted to announce my resignation from the assembly. It's been great. Wow, I didn't get anyone with that. Damn, sorry. I was trying to see if you were paying attention. One thing that I want to alert you of, I mentioned this in Gov, but please download the COVID Alert PA app on your phone. I guess you can't see it, but I'm seeing chat. So if you download that COVID Alert PA app, it uses Bluetooth technology to like track the phones around you. And if anyone tests positive with that, the Department of State will supposedly tell you so that you can self-isolate. So it's a great way to stop the spread. It doesn't use any extra battery in my experience. And this is like the one time in my life that I'm okay with the government tracking me. So please download it. It's a really great tool. They just came out with it a few weeks ago on the PA side. So yeah, that's all I have.
Representative Robertson.
Hey everyone. Yeah, thanks for a great meeting tonight. I just wanted to share like 2 quick updates just related to like the election stuff. The BJC extended their early voting dates, I believe until October 27th from noon to 5 p.m. And you can find the rest of the times at centercountyvotes.com. So if you're registered in Center County, you should definitely go vote early if possible, and tell your friends as well. You should schedule an appointment at centercountyvotes.com, and then there's a tab that just says like early voting at the BJC. And then one other update too that I learned about today was the university finalized their decision and like logistics and planning for a mail-in ballot like drop box that's being installed next Monday on the Pollock Road entrance of the hub. So if you have a mail-in ballot and you just want to drop it off but not at the BJC, you can go to the hub, and then they were working with finalizing like security stuff and cameras just to make sure it's secure. So would definitely recommend doing that, and also requesting your ballot before the 27th. So yeah, thank you.
Representative Schultz.
Hi, I just wanted to add on to the contact tracing app. Actually, there's no way with this app for the government to track you. So if you or anyone you know is concerned about privacy, I could go into the technical details, but I won't bore you. But basically, it's all within your phone. It keeps track of who you know, who you've interacted with. So there's no way for the government to track you. It's actually very well built privacy wise. If you want to know more about it, you can email me. Thanks.
All right, are there any other comments for the good of the order? All right, seeing none and knowing that Secretary Thomas has taken closing roll call already, the meeting is adjourned at 9:36 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Look at Dan. Look at Dan right now.
Good night. Wait, what? Where's Dan?
Look at Dan right now. Immediately.
Look
in video.
Dan, how could you do this to me?
Where did he go?
That's what I thought he was gonna do. Wow.
Bye, everyone.
Oh my
Dan,
God.
can you? I want to be clear that I made that myself. That is OC. I don't want Dan to take credit for that. That is mine.